What's going on, football fans? And welcome to another episode of All Smoke, All 32 with Aaron Givens. Now, week 3, we have a few division matchups and a couple exciting undefeated matchups. A couple teams are going to take their first loss this week. A couple teams are finally going to get their first W this week. It's going to be a crazy, crazy day today. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First off, I got to start off with the Texans visiting Chicago Bears. Now, coming into this game, Texans honestly have came up short in the past 2 weeks, not being able to finish on offensive drives or being able to keep their defense solidified through all 4 quarters. Um, it's a mix-up. Chicago really coming off of a tough loss, heading into Lambeau, and Aaron Rodgers doing what he always does against the Bears. When I look at this game, the big factor I take away is that the Bears' run defense is dead last in regards to stopping the run. The Texans need to go ahead and just pound the ball. Don't worry about clock management. Don't worry about certain things. Just pound the ball. If you run the ball, good things are going to happen for the Texans. Um, I really want to go ahead and just say being a Texans fan is not easy right now. It hasn't been easy since 2002, but we're going to get it together. And we're going to get it together starting today. And we're going to finally get our first W on the road in Chicago. Give me the Texans 28-17. Next, we have the Chiefs at the Colts. Colts are banged up. They still don't have Shaq Leonard willing to come out and play, even though he's been a full participant in practice for the past 2 weeks. Their left tackle situation, they still have a few players banged up. The receiving core is back solid. They're getting both of their star receivers back. The interesting thing about the Chiefs and Colts, they don't see each other that often. Last time they seen each other was in 2019, and the Colts actually were able to go in the Arrowhead and get a W. It's interesting because this is what I would consider a trap game because you see a clear-cut favorite with the Chiefs going into the Colts stadium looking to just basically dismantle them. Um, the Chiefs really have a decent run defense when it comes down to it. But the Chiefs are really a bend but don't break type of team, and they've been that way for a while. If I get this one wrong, it's just going to be probably about 80% of America. But you got to give me the Chiefs in this one, and honestly, a blowout. I'll take the Chiefs 38-20. Now we have the Eagles at the Commanders. Eagles coming in undefeated, looking strong. Commanders coming off of a tough loss. Division game, never easy. When you look at these two teams' history, it's kind of evened up. Um, I really like the way Jalen Hurts has been playing. I really like the fact that he has taken what he has done slowly in the preseason and move it right along to the regular season, along with his defense, only letting a strong Vikings offense with Cook and Jefferson to only allow 7 points on a Monday Night Football game is pretty impressive. Um, the Commanders, on the other hand, they're starting to get a little healthy on the defensive side of the ball with Daniels and uh, taking honestly a tough loss last week, as I said they would. But yeah, it's Washington at the end of the day. They have Wentz at the end of the day, and I don't care if they're home. I'm taking Jalen Hurts all day. Give me the Eagles in a close one, 28-21. The game of the week. I'll do it in the middle. Bills at Miami. When you look at these two teams, it didn't really matter whose team was better or whose team was worse. This is pretty even. The Bills had their slate, and the Miami had their slate. Both of these teams honestly have great historic franchises that have been in the league for decades. And this is finally the time where both of these teams really look like Super Bowl contenders. They're both coming off of great wins. Miami, more of so an impressive comeback behind win against the Ravens team that always puts a good team on the field. The Bills, they're kind of banged up right now. They don't have Michael Hyde, losing him again. During, honestly, the beginning of the season, it's pretty tough as a Bills fan, probably right now, worrying about your secondary and the fact that White has been out and not going to be back for another 2 weeks or so. It's next man up mentality. I get that. But the Bills are going to be facing arguably two of the fastest receivers in the league, and they're missing both of their starting corners. Um, it's going to be interesting to see what they do to implement and try to stop Miami. And I really think they're just going to have that keep everything in front of you mentality. Going into Miami, not having a couple of your best defenders, give me the Bills. I know it looks like a clear-cut Miami just because of the injuries, but the momentum is just riding. And the one thing the Bills have shown this year off of 2 games, and even more so the teams that they faced, are not honestly on the level of Miami. It's a division game. They see them twice a year. They're going to figure out a way to pull it together and keep this undefeated streak going. Give me the Bills in a close one. 32-30. Bengals at Jets. Now, the Jets, of course, coming off an impressive win, beating the Cleveland Browns in the last couple of seconds of the game, getting an onside kick recovery. I mean, it was something out of a movie. I was standing there waiting for the Broncos and Texans game to start, and I'm standing in line getting a drink, and I'm looking at the TV, and man, I'm telling you, when they got that onside kick recovery, I knew it was in the bag. Joe Flacco throwing it to the rookie across the middle of the field for the post for the score. I mean, it didn't get any better than that. But you're not beating the Bengals. They're 0-2. They're desperate. They're coming into your home, and they're really, really going to want to win, Jets. And I think that this is going to be a wake-up call for everybody, that the Bengals are here and that they had a couple of setbacks, but they are going to come strong. Give me the Bengals in a blowout, 32-20. Saints at Panthers. Now, when I'm looking at the Panthers, I'm always going to say one thing: Baker Mayfield. It's something to where I'm obviously getting real down to certain teams and players, and they're just proving me right week after week. And Baker is one of those players. It's just when you look at everything that he had on the Browns and then carrying over and being with the Panthers, he's honestly dealing with way less talent he had this year than what he had last year. And I honestly just don't see the Panthers getting a win against a division opponent who honestly played a great game against the Super Bowl contender last week in the division and knows how to manage and stay in games with two different types of quarterbacks in the NFL. I like the Saints. Give me the Saints in a low-scoring game, 17-10. Ravens at Pats. I looked at this game a couple times. You got two well-known coaches going at it once again. When you look at it, the Ravens giving up, over 30 points against Miami, and Belichick being able to figure out ways to expose teams' defenses and use the best offensive scheme to put points on the board. They're in Foxborough. Lamar's coming off of a tough loss. Patriots are coming off of an honest win against the Steelers. And you're really looking at both of these games, and it's going to come down to the trenches. Both of these teams, honestly, really are coached up well. And it really took me a hard pick to go on this one. But give me Lamar Jackson and the Ravens on the road. Patriots looking better, but Lamar's ready. He's going to do it, and I believe in him. Give me the Ravens in a close one, 28-21. Raiders at Titans. Now, one of these teams is finally going to get a W, and to be honest with you, it might not matter who it is. Statistically, teams that start off 0-2 only have an honest about 20 to 30% chance to make the playoffs. So when looking at both of these teams and the divisions they're in, the Titans are really the only one that could really hope to make the playoffs division-wise because of the shaky division that they're in. But you're looking at the Raiders, their division is stacked, and they just got to win now. Titans coming off an embarrassing loss against the Bills on Monday Night Football. And the Raiders blowing the Cardinals out and letting them just walk right back in the door and beating them in overtime. You know, I don't understand the philosophy and what the Raiders are necessarily trying to do when they have the pieces all together to make sure they can win on both sides of the ball. But obviously there's some miscues going on there, and they need to definitely get it together on the road against this Titan team that are kind of looking shaky in the fact that they competed and basically kind of had the same roster the past 2 years and really put up some great games against the Bills, but come out flat. I don't believe in the Titans, and I kind of really don't believe in the Raiders anymore. But you got to give me the Raiders on the road in a close one, 26-21. Lions at Vikings. Lions, they're really impressing me, and I'm really glad that their organization is finally finding a way to give their fans something to cheer about. You know, Swift in the backfield, moving around, Goff actually playing decent football. I mean, it's really looking solid over there for the Lions. Now, the Vikings, I knew Kirk Cousins was going to show up and be the guy that I knew he was going to be against the Eagles on Monday Night Football. And they really, honestly, when you look at it, know how to beat up and handle certain teams. I respect the Lions, and I really, really hope that they find a way to continue this and put a winning team on paper. But I got to take the Vikings at home. Give me the Vikings 28-14. Jags at Chargers. Now, the Jaguars, I understand you play the Colts well every year at home, but to shut them out, you deserve a hand clap. You know, if I'm not mistaken, that was the first shutout of the season, and by far it was impressive. Controlling every three phases of football, offense, defense, special teams, and making the Colts look like their quarterback was a rookie. I understand they didn't have their receivers. I understand they didn't have their star linebacker, arguably the best linebacker in the league right now. But for you guys to do what you did, that was impressive, Jags. But you're facing the Chargers. You're going into Los Angeles. You're facing a Herbert team that really, really honestly had a tough loss against a division opponent in the Chiefs. They had more time to rest. They had more time to game plan, and they're going to smack you in the mouth. Give me the Chargers in a blowout, 32-10. Packers at Buccaneers. Both teams coming off of impressive wins. Both teams looking to continue to try to keep this Super Bowl contender name under their belt. Buccaneers are just stacked on paper. They just have so many superstars on their roster. And the Packers are looking like Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see how the Packers can compete and go into the Bucs and really put that type of game plan that they had against a Bear team that they know and really go into Tampa and win. It can be done. It's Aaron Rodgers, I get it, but the Bucs are just looking solid, man. And I'll be crazy not to take them at home. So give me the Buccaneers and honestly a close one, 35-30. Rams at Cardinals. Now, here yet another division game. Here yet another two teams that finally get their first wins. Um, I I gotta give a big shout out again to Kyler Murray and putting that game in his hands last week and just helping his team get their first W. And again, I want to apologize to the Rams for just skipping them completely out of my week 2 predictions, but picking them honestly to win against the Falcons. Um, you know, this game honestly is not clear cut at all, being division. Um, I'm really looking at defense when it bundles down to it, and if the trenches are the most honest, clear cut difference maker in this game. I really, really do like the Rams in this one because of the defensive pressure that they are going to apply on Murray. But I really feel with the Cardinals being at home, they really can have the Red Sea help and push their way, definitely showing and proving that they could come back and beat a team like the Raiders. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to take the Rams in this one, 28-21. Falcons at Seahawks. So basically in this game, the 12 is going to be the biggest factor. Falcons are actually playing decent football with Mariota, and they're actually finding ways to implement a system to put points on the board. Defense has definitely been shaky, and that's why I'm leaning more so towards the Seahawks, because even though they didn't put that many points up last week against the 49ers, they definitely showed that when they're home, they can rally and play well with their crowd. And that's what I'm going with the home field advantage. Give me the Seahawks in a close one, 21-17. 49ers at Broncos. Sunday Night Football, 49ers coming in with Jimmy G, honestly trying to make a thing of themselves after losing their star up-and-coming quarterback, Trey Lance. Russell Wilson finally getting his first W last week against the Texans. Still kind of a shaky offense and trying to figure everything out. You know, it's honestly looking like a little bit more so of the Seahawks tributing over to the Broncos. The run game really isn't that fantastic. Gordon already fumbling the ball 2-3 times. You know, it's looking like a situation where the 49ers can definitely come in and steal one on the road. But after playing a scrappy team like the Texans, I think they actually prepared them for a team that could come in like the 49ers and blow the hatchets off the door. Russ is going to be Russ. He's finally going to cook up some stew, and he's going to give the 49ers a loss that they were not expecting. Give me the Broncos in a blowout, 31-20. This is all I have for another episode of All Smoke, All 32, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow for my Monday night pick. See ya.